Okay, so after dragging Gabby Hanna to filth in my last video, I want to be more positive and I want to talk about YouTubers who properly made that transition from just being a quote-unquote YouTuber into becoming a respectable and great pop artist, honestly. Today I'm going to discuss Troye Sivan and his first album, Blue Neighbourhood. I'm going to discuss the road to getting this record together and the impact that it's had on artists moving forward. I've always considered Troye to be my steady example for how to transition from social media to more traditional media outlets. No matter what your fave tries to tell you, new media doesn't really earn you as much money as established things like record labels, television shows, movie deals earn you. Truth be told, no one wants to be stuck on YouTube, even though being stuck on YouTube is a privilege in its own right. And yes, someone like Troye does come with built-in advantages. He was established before as a singer through competitions and gigs, and he did star as Wolverine in X-Men Wolverine's Origins as like the kid version of Wolverine. All that being said, I still find it very impressive that he managed to actually get himself considered a serious artist in many books. My first encounter with Troye Sivan was back in 2012 when vloggers from other countries were really popular. Does anyone remember Zoella? I remember her. Troye made relatively harmless, nice vlogs that did get him enough attention to get signed onto an actual record label. Sometime in 2013, he was signed onto EMI Australia, a universal music group label based in, guess where? Australia. Crikey. Anyway, he kept it a secret for an entire year. In 2014, he dropped his first EP, Troye with an X in the center, led by Happy Little Pill. It actually went number 1 in 55 countries, debuted at number 5 on the Billboard Top 200, giving him his first top 10 album. At the time, that was actually really impressive. YouTubers usually don't make that big of a dent with their music, but with the support of a label, he was able to really get there. His second major label EP, Wild, was released September the following year, and this one was actually the precursor to the Blue Neighbourhood album. It had a music video trilogy titled Blue Neighbourhood, which featured the songs Wild, Fools, and Talk Me Down. Wild would repeat the previous EP's success on the charts, debuting at number 5. Then on December 4th, Blue Neighbourhood debuted. The album debuted at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 200 charts. Additionally, it was critically acclaimed. Only one single from the album ended up denting the top 40, but that's impressive in its own right. It's called Youth, and it's one of my favorite tracks, and now that I've covered the history, I'm going to talk about this album. I want to acknowledge the music video trilogy that kicked off this album, Blue Neighbourhood. Featuring the songs Wild, Fools, and Talk Me Down, this trilogy covers a doomed relationship. Yeah, I've made my criticisms about the sad and gay genre of music, but Troye was technically one of the first people to pioneer this genre, so I'll give him the pass. I mean, it was 2015 after all. And by genre of sad, I mean sad twink, let's just be honest here. But this video series was actually really forward-thinking and very harsh for the time period. It really did expose a lot of homophobic themes and stuff going on in real life, and it was brutal to watch. The ending implying that his love interest had jumped off a cliff was just something else. It's also a really good testament to his acting ability. I mean, I actually question if he's a better actor than a better singer, but he's chosen the music life, clearly. Likewise, the music really does blend over it. Like, whoever filmed this, whoever curated the shots, whoever worked with Troye to direct this and make this a reality, really, really impressive stuff here. I actually see a lot of people compare this album to Pure Heroine by Lorde, just from the sonic soundscape to the lyricism to the fact that there's literally a track called Suburbia, and I definitely see that as a valid criticism for sure, because I definitely did think of Pure Heroine the first time I listened to this record way back in 2015. It's actually aged really gracefully, just like Pure Heroine has, at least in my own personal books. One thing I really admire here is that he really does commit to being cinematic, at least in terms of how the music sounds and the theming of the record. It's very cohesive, and while that may bore some people, I do think that that was really cool. I really think that Troye did take advantage of the resources that a music label would have afforded him in terms of budgeting, in terms of production, in terms of finding songwriters and producers that really accentuate his voice. And in many ways, I think that's what helps differentiate oneself from other YouTubers who make music. I think being able to work with a label does really up your game, and that's why it's so desirable to be signed by one. You can definitely see that the record label trusted Troye with whatever vision that he had for the album and that they weren't just guiding him the whole time. Record labels are still businesses at the end of the day. They are not really there to champion their artists completely, but when they do trust you, it means you're doing something right. As with all artists that sign on to a label, YouTubers most of all really have to understand how to put their egos aside and work with the label to produce the best amount of content possible. You can have all the subscribers in the world, but if you do not have the talent or the attitude to back yourself up, you will not survive in that world. Being able to balance one's authentic self while also being able to create something commercial is a talent that everybody in the pop game needs to have at some point. Musings aside, I'm now going to discuss the record at length. The opening track, Wild, really does sound like an Alessia Cara song, which is why it made sense for her to be featured on the remix. I do think it was a good opener, but it has aged a little bit in my opinion. Good songwriting, a catchy hook, but not really my favorite off the record. The next track is Bite, which is a Lorde-esque track. This is where the comparisons really start to become fairly obvious. I thought that the production really evoked the sparse sound that came from Pure Heroin, but that's just me. The next track, Fools, is actually a personal favorite of mine. I just really like the pre-chorus, the chorus, the lyrics. I mean, the song is very well constructed, very formulaic, but very standard pop. I really do like how his voice sounds. There's like an agony in there, and I really relate to the song. I think anybody who's queer has fallen for someone who they feel foolish for falling for. And I'm a sucker for a good vocoder effect. The next track is Ease, and god, this one really does sound like a Lorde track just from the opening, but I really do admire this song a lot. I love the vocals from Broods. I think the vocals from Georgia Knott are just very gorgeous here. They very much add something to the record. I feel like this song sounds like the epitome of 2015 Tumblr, and I feel nostalgic for that time because at least I didn't have to worry about like a pandemic or anything. The Quiet is actually one of my favorite tracks in that I like the really lo-fi production, and then I also love the contrast between the song's subject matter and how loud the chorus is. There's like a cool irony there, and the lyrics are really good. I think Troye is actually a talented songwriter, and he also works with people who really adapt his voice relatively well. The next track, DKLA, featuring Takei Maidza, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is actually also another highlight of mine. I do like the verse that Takei does provide towards the end of the song, but I also do love how the song really continues, how cohesive the record sounds. I think the producers really did like how Troye's voice sounds. It sounds like a really sad ghost, so being able to project that into layers and make that into an instrumental, that's very tempting. It reminds me of Ellie Goulding in a way, actually. The next track, Talk Me Down, is honestly my favorite track off the record, and for many reasons. Leland and Ali X, two songwriters that I adore to bits, helped produce this track. Troye's vocals just sound absolutely chilling. The lyrics are so wholesome, but at the same time heartbreaking, and the music video just really destroyed me. If you're a depressed gay like me, you gotta add this to your playlist, guys. Like, it will totally ruin your night. The next track, Cool, is this really fun tongue-in-cheek thing about what it's like to have the nicest things in life and realizing that they're actually empty if you're not really enjoying them entirely. The real star of the show for this track, at least for me, is the instrumental. I feel like it complements his voice very well, but at the same time has its own life. He did say that the song was about the vapid living in LA, so really nice vibes here. Kind of sad lyrics, but you know, good vibes. I think the next track, Heaven, is actually a really important track on many fronts. For one, it's a collaboration with Australian singer-songwriter Betty who I actually do listen to, and it's a song about growing up as an LGBTQ person and just coming to terms with your sexuality and gender. It's a really nice piano ballad, and the production here is from Jack Antonoff. I think this is one of the first few credits that Jack had before he started working with our faves Taylor Swift and Lana, so we definitely owe the song some sort of credit for that. And the way that he just really says counting to 15, you can just really sense this fear and agony. I think that's what he does best, and that's why when he sings about joyful stuff, it's not really convincing, but when he sings about misery, it's just really beautiful. That's a terrible thing to say, but I'm being honest here. The next track is the track that most people actually know him for. It's called Youth, and it peaked at 23, which is pretty impressive for a YouTube artist, and the meaning of the song can be debated upon, but I interpret it as a take of just running away with someone and having this daydream that you find someone that you just vibe with. Once again, Leland and Ali X are producing and working on this track, which is why it's pop perfection. I honestly think that Lost Boy should have been a single at some point. It's just so catchy and so infectious, and it really does kind of cover the themes of the album while not being too on the nose. Like, really one of my favorites. For Him featuring All Day is actually one of my favorite tracks from the entire record. It is a gift to his boyfriend at the time, which is kind of sad because he's no longer with him, but I just really love the detail of the song, how whimsical it is, how fun it is, how intimate it seems. The rap feels tacked on, but he does perform a different version of it when he was doing it on tour. All I Need Is You is just such a deceivingly simple chorus line, but it works so well here. Suburbia is the closing track on the standard edition of the album. It's also probably one of the most melancholic songs that Troye has ever made, but I really love the rich amount of details here and the meaning behind the song. If you come from the suburbs, you know exactly what the song is about and how depressing it is over here sometimes. Too Good is a track that's way too good to pass up on. I think you can only find it on the deluxe. I don't really have much to say about it other than that it sounds really pretty, and I just really like the production here. Alex Hope is a really good producer. And speak of Alex Hope, he is featured on the final track on the deluxe. I do not count that Wild remix, even though it's really good. It is called Blue, and I think it really summarizes the record and its themes. Blue is seen as a melancholic color, but at the same time, I think that it is a projection of Troye's true self. There is blue in the oceans, blue in the skies, blue in his lover's eyes. I don't know what I'm trying to get at here, but I think it's the color that he finds most authentic to himself, and he's trying to have someone see what he sees in that color in himself, like some really deep metaphor or something. I don't know, I just really like the song. I like this record. Overall, I really do think that there are some flaws with the record. Sometimes it sounds too cohesive, sometimes it feels like one huge mush ball. But I think the sentimentality and the earnestness of the record more than make up for it. Blue Neighborhood is my Kid Crow for all of you young gays out there, Gen Z gays. This is my record, honestly. I definitely see what you guys saw in Conan's record, in Troye's record. But he did it first. On his other albums, I haven't been really able to connect with Bloom as a record. I just didn't really feel that attached to it as much as I did to Blue Neighborhood. And his third record's coming out some point at this year. It's been delayed by the COVID crisis, but I'm excited to see what that sounds like. In my honest truth, I find this record as a blueprint for future artists to emerge from YouTube for. This is the way to do it. Not necessarily the sound of the record, but the execution of it. Being able to be humble enough to make something authentic that not only jives with your brand, but also challenges other people to really understand you as an artist and as a person. Making that transition from one platform to another is not easy. Many people try, many people fail, you know, we have to be honest with that. But honestly, when we do see successes in that genre, we really see stars be born, and we get to witness who they are before and who they are after and who they are in between, and that's kind of magical to me. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment your favorite track off the record, and I think I'll be continuing this as a series. My next installment will be about the iconic king of sad himself, Joji Miller. I can't wait to get that one out in the middle of July. I can't wait to see you guys on my next videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys soon.